Let's give you the markets update now, and local trade upbeat so far this morning after securing gains yesterday. The JSE gaining the most in 3 weeks on Thursday, while the Rand touched the strongest level in 3 months on optimism that the Federal Reserve could be close to wrapping up hiking interest rates. Matete Thulare is head of foreign exchange execution at Rand Merchant Bank. He joins us now to quickly dissect how the markets are shaping up this Friday. Mr. Thulare, at top of the morning to you. Let's begin with what has been somewhat of a bumpy ride for the Rand this week, but it looks set to reclaim all those lost gains. Talk to us about the market moves this morning.
Good morning, Claudia. And I think one antidote that we need to take into account is the fact that every time the Springboks have won the World Cup, the Rand has rallied.
How did I not anticipate that you would go there? Okay.
So quite an interesting one, because last week we saw ourselves above 19 and the Springboks won, and true to the self-fulfilling prophecy, we've seen the Rand strengthen, and I mean, we are pushing lower this morning, spurred by some sharp dollar losses. Look, the data risk, it is quite high given the US jobs numbers that is coming out later this afternoon. Trade is starting this morning at 1836. The fallout from the Fed from Wednesday evening is obviously still continuing. We've seen dollar yields continue to fall. The 10-year on the dollar yield is around that 4.6%. We've also seen the dollar sharply weaker in volatile trade. I mean, the risk-on sentiment is really evident. And also you see those sharp gains in the global equity markets, and as well as the EM currencies. I mean, that has had a strong gain against the dollar. Now, we did briefly touch the 1831 level this morning, but now it looks like a dollar move rather than Rand outperformance. But I suspect if you are going to see any further downside momentum into the Rand, it will be on the back of the dollar, especially given the jobs numbers this afternoon, and also any comments that do come out from any of the Fed members.
Let's talk commodities. Gold struggling for momentum so far this morning. What's dragging down the performance?
Yeah, look, gold is headed for its first weekly decline. I mean, obviously the safe haven demand there is dwindling as the Israel-Hamas war really remains contained. I mean, gold is still near a 5-month high after surging more than 9% over the past 3 weeks. Now, in the latest, in terms of the Middle East tensions, I mean, already you're seeing Israeli troops, encircled in Gaza City, and they've insisted a ceasefire isn't on the table, especially on the back of U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. He's set to arrive in Tel Aviv for talks. So markets will be obviously watching the development with regards to Israel-Hamas, especially as gold could quickly regain its geopolitical risk premium, especially if the tensions intensify. I mean, you've already started seeing some other market analysts calling for it to be above $2,000 an ounce. So at this point in time, if we do see any escalation there, potentially we could see gold breaking through that 2,000 level and obviously touching 2,100.
Let's talk company news. Dis-Chem Pharmacies publishing their financial results for the 6 months, which ended on the 31st of August 2023. Help us make sense of their numbers.
Yeah, quite an interesting set of data from Dis-Chem. I mean, the group is satisfied with their performance during the past 6 months, and obviously notwithstanding a tough trading environment with any relief from any of the JSE-listed companies or any companies. I mean, you've seen them already notifying the market that it is a tough trading environment, that it is really constrained by, the high interest rates and the costs associated with load shedding. I mean, that has resulted in a weaker performance for Dis-Chem over the prior comparative period. In the current financial year, I mean, the group has also been impacted by the base effects of the prior year. And I think what's also contributing to their strong first half performance in the prior year was the acquisitions of some warehouse properties that resulted in a once-off gain of around 72 million rand. Now, they're anticipating for a stronger second half, but also the anticipated performance improvement will be supported by the progress in their cost control measures, and also a particular focus on management costs, and also making sure that their strategy is aligned for what they have over the next few years. And I think this is why they're saying that, look, it's been a bumpy ride, but they're expecting a stronger second half performance in the latter part of the year.
Let's conclude with Pepco, which is warning shareholders of a fall in annual profits. What are they citing as reasons for the decline?
Like any of the other companies, I mean, everybody is citing the same issues. I mean, Pepco, no different. I think they have flagged the drop in annual profits, especially on the back of the power cut, the unemployment numbers that we're seeing, and also the increased standard of living. And obviously that's cutting into the disposable income of customers. Now, people's ability to earn an income remains negatively impacted by the high unemployment, the continued load shedding, and obviously the disruption in the payments of the social grants that we've seen. Now, for them, they've shown that the total group revenue increased modestly by 7.7%. That has been boosted by the acquisition of the Brazilian retailer that they did last year in February. Already that acquisition is accounting for about 4.3% of their revenue. That's up from 2.4%. Already just from yesterday, you saw their share price up close to 4% at a high of 17.95 Rand at the close of yesterday. So they're expecting to publish their results on November the 29th. And I think this is where we'll get more detail into what's happening at Pepco. And I suppose just yesterday's 3.4% gain, I think that just shows you that there is a bit of confidence into this despite all the headwinds that they're facing.
Matete Thulare, thank you very much for that markets update. Head of Foreign Exchange Execution at Rand Merchant Bank, giving us a sense of how things are shaping up this Friday at the JSE.